Okay, I just finished episode 10 of season 2 of Vinland Saga. Spoiler alert. It starts with Thorfinn and Einar taking down the last tree in the field they were asked to cultivate. And it's been about 3 years, and they're at the point where they're going to be able to buy back their freedom. They're sitting and talking, and they're trying to decide what they would do once they gain their freedom. Einar says, his family's dead, so there's no reason for him to go back home. And the young lady, I can't remember her name. The young lady that he's basically in love with, that the king won't let go. He doesn't want to leave her there, so he's kind of conflicted. And then there's Thorfinn, who asks him if he'll go back home to Iceland, I think it is. And he says, I guess. And, Einar makes the comment, it's like, it's crazy. We finally got to the point where we get our freedom, and we're unsure of what we want to do. So then Master comes and declares to them, once you all plant this field, you're free. And they kind of just stare. Neither one of them is really excited about it. It's a kind of a semi-funny scene because the Master's like, why aren't you excited? And then, of course, Einar over the top starts, yay! And he gets Thorfinn to start cheering. They're kind of being fake, but they want to show the Master that they're appreciative. But anyway, as the Master's going away, he's about to go on a trip somewhere. And he's like, look, don't get too excited. I'm about to go on a trip. We'll have to finalize this when I get back. I think my kids refer to this as a death flag. If there was ever a moment where you think a character is not going to make it back and there's going to be a big twist, this is it. So we'll wait to see if the Master actually comes back, if he ends up dying, and for some reason someone reneges on the promise to free them, and the plot takes another twist. That's what it looks like it's coming to me, but I could be wrong. Anyway, as he's walking back, he offers both of them the chance to be farmhands once they're free, because they're good workers, and he needs good men. And neither one of them says anything. He tells them to think about it. And that's pretty much it for that. So this plot turns back toward Canute. King Canute now is traveling to the same place that the Master was traveling. King Canute's going to see his brother, Harold, I think his name is, who is very sick. He's on his deathbed. He goes back home. He hasn't been back. Canute hasn't been back home in years. And his brother is deathly ill. He's told that he has maybe days to live. So he's talking to his brother on his deathbed, and all of a sudden he sees a vision of his father telling him, it's interesting you learn to lie without giving away the fact that you're lying. And nobody knows that you poisoned your brother. And this is when we find that out, that he actually poisoned his brother. His whole plan to unite England and Denmark under him. So the father is kind of haunting him. The name of this episode is The Cursed Head. So I guess his father's severed head that he saw Askeladd chop off is the cursed head. And later on, he's in his room, and he's talking to someone's coming to bring him some water or something, some kind of a liquid to drink, and he doesn't trust it. He's, his father's head keeps talking to him, and he's like, you don't trust because you used to poison yourself to kill someone. And they have an interesting conversation. Before that, you kind of see in a flashback, and they show a flashback twice, of Canute and his brother. His brother's older. His brother was very loving and caring with him. Which is interesting because Canute kind of started to eschew violence for a while. And now he's going to the point where he's killing somebody who actually treated him incredibly well and looked after him, his older brother. He kind of plainly tells his father's head that, look, this is what needs to happen. His father's head tells him, you're starting to think like a king. But clearly this is torturing Canute. He started seeing his father's severed head. He was standing there with his brother, shaking his hand, holding his hand as he's dying, or as he's, talking to him, he's on his last legs. And he freezes up and has this whole, vision of his father, and then he gets shaken out of it. Going back to that, I'm all over the place with this episode, I apologize, but going back to that, he sees his brother actually says he leaves Denmark in his hands. So, pretty much it's a wrap. He's been named a successor to Denmark. He's already the leader of England. So he has done what he came to do and united the kingdom. And as a matter of fact, at the end of this episode, he's sitting in a window, imagining him and his brother playing this game that he saw some other kids playing. And as he's playing the game, Ragnar is there being overprotective. His brother is there teaching him how to play. His brother tells him, be stronger than me and your father. Than me and our father. You need to be stronger when you grow up. And he's a little kid. He's just barely hearing what he's saying, but clearly he remembered it. As the memory fades, he's sitting in the window, and he's basically like, well, that's that. He did what he wanted to do, poisoned his brother. Nobody knows. And he's taking over the kingdom. But clearly he's tortured by it. So I'm not sure what's happening with Canute or where his character is going to go. But clearly he's having a hard time wearing the weight of the crown or making decisions he feels like he needs to make, even though they're terrible decisions. So we're left wondering what's going to happen with Canute next, what's going to happen with the Master next, what Thorfinn and Einar are going to choose to do as far as their futures and when they get their freedom. Because they still have to clear the field, still a lot of stumps there. They got to clear the stumps, they got to plant the seeds. And they have to wait for the Master to return, hopefully, and grant them that freedom. He also asked, at one point earlier on, Master asked if they had seen, I think they called him the old man, the Master's father, and he hadn't been seen, so I'm not sure if he has passed on. A lot of cliffhangers in this episode, not a lot of action, but a lot of cliffhangers that have you wondering what's going on next and wondering what's going to happen with the next episode. So it's a good episode. A little bit of an existential thing going on at the beginning with Thorfinn and Einar trying to figure out what they want to do once they get their freedom. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And the young lady whose name I cannot remember that Einar is in love with, what's going to happen with her? Is Einar going to try to free her? Because clearly he wants to be with her. At any rate, that's episode 10. Looking forward to episode 11.